certainly has some things to say, and we're going to talk about that. And by the end of it, hopefully you'll have some really good tools to bring back to your parishes to use when it comes to social media and discipleship. Good? So the point of today is to reflect on our sacred call to bring Christ to the digital highways. That's what Pope Francis calls them, the digital highways, through leadership choices we make on our online communities. Good? I have 2 stories. Are you ready? I tell lots of stories. The first one is so crazy. I'm going to tell you how I've used social media really poorly, and I'm going to tell you how I've used social media, I think, in a pretty positive way. So I'm going to tell you 2 stories that reflect both of that. You ready for the first one? We're going to start with poor, so we end on a high note. Good? But in order to tell you this story, I have to tell you about a movie called Perks of Being a Wallflower. Now, oh my gosh, hated the movie. We're going to talk about it. So here's what happened. How many of you have seen Perks of Being a Wallflower? Okay, how many of you have seen it? You're like, oh my gosh, it's my favorite movie book ever. Because you might not love this story. I don't think you'll hate me, but whatever. How many of you have not seen it? How many of you have not seen it and you really want to see it and you're going to be crushed if I spoil it? Good, because I'm going to spoil it. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil it. But it's like 3 years old, so I don't feel super bad, because like if you really didn't want to watch it. Okay, so the movie Perks of Being a Wallflower was a book first, and like young people kept telling me, you got to read this book, you got to read this book, and I never read it because I just don't like have, I don't know, I can't read. No, I can't read, but I just didn't want to read it. But the movie came out and kids were like, oh my gosh, the movie is so good, you have to see this movie. So I was like, okay, and I generally like young people genres of movies. So there was one night my husband and I didn't know what to watch, and we chose the movie Perks of Being a Wallflower. We turned it on, and I hated it, like, right out the gate, right? Like, actually, I hated it because I think it's, like, everything wrong with youth culture in one movie. So I'm watching it, and I'm, like, getting more and more angry because I think it just celebrates things that are not awesome. So I'm watching it, and I'm like, I don't like this. And then I made the fatal flaw, which some of you might have made before. But I chose to write about a life experience on social media before the end of that life experience. So I took to my Facebook, right, as the movie's going, and I wrote, I can't believe so many young people told me to watch this movie. I absolutely hate it. Perks of Being a Wallflower. It's like the only thing that I like about it. Now those of you that have seen this, you're not even going to believe it. The only thing that I like about this movie is the storyline between the aunt and this kid. Because it reminds me of how I love my nieces and nephews. This is what I wrote. The only thing I like about this movie is the storyline between the aunt and the kid. Because, just wait, now those of you that haven't seen it, I'm about to fill you in. So, I write that and I keep watching the movie, and meanwhile, like, my social media is like dinging, right? Like, ding, 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 and I'm like, oh, I'm trying to watch a movie now. So, like, I'm entering and I'm ignoring all the dings. The storyline that I liked was this kid, the main character, kept having flashbacks of his aunt who had died from when he was young. Now I'm really close with my nieces and nephews, and I'm like, oh, he's obviously having some issues because his aunt died, and it's so nice to see their relationship. Well, at the end of the movie you find out that this aunt abused him through like his entire childhood, right? And I wrote on social media, the only thing I like about this movie is the storyline between the aunt and the main character, because it reminds me of how I love my nieces. You guys, at the end of the movie, guys, like right when everything comes together, I'm like, oh my God! And I run to the computer, I open it, and my husband's like, what? Because he has no idea that I put up the status update, right? And I'm like, you guys, there were so many, and it was cute, because like all of them were like, I don't think you understand the movie. And then, how do I be a digital disciple? A couple of us, not most of us. So that's what we're going to do. Good? First of all, and I need you to stand for this one. I'm so sorry. Not yet, don't stand yet. I'm going to say something, and if it's true, then you stand. It's like our exercise for the night. Okay? So stand up if you have one computer in your home. In your home, one computer. iPads, no, if you have at least one. iPads and tablets don't count for this one. Okay, stay standing if you have two.
They have to be yours.
In your house. Yep, 3. Stay standing if you have 3 computers. Just computers, laptops or desktops. Stay standing if you have 3, 4, 5. Oh my gosh. Stay standing if you have 6 computers in your home. 7. Oh, M. 8. 9 computers in your home. 10 computers in your home. How many do you have?
12.
Oh my gosh, computer engineers.
Well, okay, no, but like 6 of them are old, but we still have them.
Yeah,
They still work.
no, that's fine. You get a candy for that. Okay, stand up if you have an iPad of any kind. 2, 3 generation era. I don't know what it is anymore. Okay, great. Sit down. Stand up if you have a smartphone. Okay, awesome. Stand up if you have a smartphone. Okay, sit down. Stand up if you text more than 20 times a day. Good. All right, sit down. Stand up if you get your news primarily through social media, so either Facebook, Twitter, that's how you find out that things are happening in the world. Great, sit down. I always tell people this. I 90% of the time find out things on social media because people start blasting it. I'm like, what's happening? And then I go to the Google. That's how I find out things. Stand up if you have a Twitter, if you tweet. Tweet. Okay. Stand up if Twitter, stay standing if Twitter is like your main mode of social media. Like this is what I do as a person. Great, sit down. I just can't get into it. I try so hard. Besides following celebrities. Stand up if you have a Tumblr. Do people still Tumblr? Yeah. Okay, great. Stay standing if Tumblr is your thing. Like that is your main thing. Stand up if you have like a Vine account. Okay, stay standing if Vine is like your jam. That's where you spend a lot of your time. Nobody. Okay, awesome. That's totally the one that's most popular. Stand up. Oh, I hate this. If you have a Snapchat. You stay standing if Snapchat is your main form of social communication. Oh my gosh, stones, chucking stones. That means I'm judging you. Sit down. Okay, I'm just kidding. Stand up if you have an Instagram. Stay standing if you know your password and so you use it all the time. Stay standing if it's the one that you use most. Instagram is where your jam is. Okay, good. Sit down. Stand up if you have a Facebook. Stay standing if you would say that Facebook is like your main thing. Like that's your social media thing. Check it. Here's what I read. Okay, you can sit down. Here's what I read. People are like, Facebook's going away, and then teens confirmed it, and I was so depressed because I had to rework my talk, but then I just read this article that said it's coming back. So yay. Okay. Stand up if I did not say what your #1 social media. Oh wait, stand up if you have a blog. Anybody? Any bloggers, live journalers, writers of private thoughts on the interwebs? Nobody? Okay. Stand up if I didn't mention your fave. What is it?
YouTube?
Oh, okay, good. I know that one. I get so afraid the kids are going to say, I'm like, what are you talking about? What's yours? BuzzFeed. I don't get it. We'll have to talk later. Okay, very good. Okay, stand up if you have a Reddit.
Oh.
I don't even know what it is. Some kid the other day, okay, you can sit down, was like, Mary, you really need to be on Reddit. And I'm like, oh, what really stinks is I don't know what that is. Stand up if you prefer texting to talking on the phone.
Wait, what?
Good. Texting to talking on the phone, if you prefer to text rather than talking on the phone. Sit down. Stand up if you have used, currently are using FaceTime or Skype or what else do we use?
Google now.
Google, yeah, Google Talk. People like to Google neighborhood each other. Yes, what else? Hulu. Oh my gosh, don't overload me. Okay, sit down. Great. Stand up if you friend your parents on social media. What I like about listening, he doesn't just say someone. He says it falls to young people in particular. Why does the Holy Father say that it falls to young people in particular to evangelize the digital highways?
Because he knows that we know that the internet better than anybody else on the planet.
Right. So he's saying, listen, young people, he calls it a spontaneous affinity, right? I think, but sometimes I make up words, to know this culture. So it falls to you. I've told people, when the Holy Father asks you specifically to do something, it's probably not a good idea to be like, nah. Instead, we should be like, okay, how do we do that? I'm sure you guys know, but just in case you don't know, Jesus hung out, right? Spread a lot of good things. Loved us enough that he died on a cross. 3 days later, rose from the dead. Hung out for 40 days and then ascended into heaven. Do you guys remember that story? That's what went down, right? And the whole time he was saying, what I want to do is show you guys how much I love you. What I want to do is show you guys how much I love you. Then he said to his apostles and his disciples, now you have to go show people how much I love them, right? I need you guys to do it, is what he said, right? So what the 12 apostles did, and the disciples, They went out and basically evangelized the world. It's because of the 12 apostles that we know our faith. You know that, right? Because of 12 men. And in order to do that, they had to go into different cultures, and they had to learn how to speak the language of the culture, use the tools of the culture, use the experience and the rules of the culture to tell people who Christ was, right? The Holy Father is saying, just like they had to do that, you have to do that. And the culture is the digital highways, right? Unfortunately, I don't think we're always super awesome at answering that. What evangelizations. Modern man listens more willingly to witnesses than teachers, and if he listens to teachers only because they're witnesses. What do you got?
Modern people, like people in our times want proof, not just statements.
Okay, you said people want proof, not just statements. A little more than that. Listens to witnesses, not just teachers.
They want you to walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
They want you to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. How does that connect to the scripture verse? This is crazy. I know we're getting crazy up in her. And it's like Friday night and it's late, so I know it's tough. How does it connect to the scripture verse about walking in light, not darkness? Yes?
So is it like we need to walk in light for them to believe that there is the light?
Right. If we say that we're followers of Christ, our life looks a certain way. It's only because our life looks a certain way that people are attracted to the fact that we are followers of Christ. Does that make sense? Here's the thing about social media. Sometimes there's a huge disconnect to how people behave in life, or the things that they say they believe in and live, and then what they have on their social media, right? Is this something you guys have seen before? It's particularly dangerous for youth leaders, because youth leaders have made it public, at least you've told your friends, I'm going to a youth leadership thing with the Catholic Church this weekend, right? So you've made it public that faith is a part of your life, right? What you do on social media tells people what that means. To be a person of transparency means who I am here, is who I am here, it's who I am here, it's who I am to these people. You can see right through me, right? You're not faking it for anyone. The habit of social, of digital discipleship is to use media to evangelize the good news, the gospel. We have a God who loves you and wants to be in a relationship with you and loves you enough that he died for you. That's the good news. How do we use it? How do we introduce people to the good news through social media? Well, clearly we post things that say, share this or you're going to hell. If you love Jesus, you will tweet this, right? I see those and I'm like, I don't think that's how it's supposed to work, right? That's not how we invite people to the good news, right? But when Jesus ascended, right before he left, he said, listen, go therefore and make disciples. Basically, he was saying, go and invite people to be a part of what I want for them, which is a relationship with me, right? That's our call. Do we do it by saying, share this or you're going to hell? Probably not, right? There's really good ways that we can do it. On my way over here, I was thinking, and I've never done this, but wouldn't it be cool if every person from leadership training, this weekend on Sunday, said, I'm going to Mass at whatever time. If anybody wants to come with me, shoot me a message. Right? Just, that's your status, that's your tweet. I'm going to Mass at 10 o'clock, if you want to come with me, join me, right? How many of you would be willing to invite people to the good news that way? I'm driving here and thinking about it, I'm like, I've never done that. But you know what? I think myself, my husband, his name is Aaron, we have 3 little kids, we have a lot of friends, friends that love Jesus, friends that don't know Jesus, friends that don't like Jesus, like we have all kinds of friends, right? I think if I put that status up, and I'm not going to be in town for the next 2 weekends, but the weekend after that, I'm going to write that on Sunday. We're going to Mass at 10 o'clock if anybody would like to join us. I bet one of our friends will say, I'll go with you, right? That's how you invite people to the good news.